Let's talk about the habits that are keeping you poor and broke. I know you want more money. I know you're looking for that business opportunity which is going to change your life. But sometimes the thing that is limiting you from you making progress in your life is just the habits that you have. There's a way that rich people think that causes them to become more and more rich. There's a way that poor people think that causes them to become more and more poor. Opportunities will come to you, but you will fail to see them because of the mentality and the habits that you have. So let's get into it and see what are the poor habits that are keeping you poor and broke. The first poor habit is spending way too much time watching TV and entertainment. It's amazing how many people actually have got Netflix subscriptions, Showmax subscriptions, Apple TV subscriptions. You know the best movie sites to watch the latest movies and series, but you don't know any website that can help you to advance your career. You don't know any website that you can spend time learning a new skill that can help you to make money. What we have done with our brains is that we have chosen to keep our brains occupied, entertained. We enjoy escaping reality. We look for those things that will help us to relax and just enjoy our lives, putting our problems on pause. But the problem there is that when you have finished putting your problems on pause, they will still be waiting for you. When you compare this to rich people invest a lot of their time in courses, in trainings, in different things that help them to learn new skills that they then can monetize and use to increase their income. Hey, if you're finding any value in this video, please show your support by liking the video and helping me to know that this is content that you want to watch. And also make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you'll be notified every single time I drop more content like this designed to help you to grow financially. This next one might get me in trouble and a lot of you might make complaints in the comments, but this is the truth. One habit of poor people is that they wake up late. If you compare poor people and rich people, one of the habits that differentiates them is the time of the day that they wake up. Now, does that mean that if you wake up later in the day, you can't be successful? You probably might be. You may be successful, but one attribute you find in a lot of rich people is that they all wake up early. The reason why they wake up early is so that they can get an early advantage on the day. And there's this thing about waking up early that when you wake up early and then you start focusing on things that you need to get done, for example, maybe building a business or just getting some work done, you are fresher and you are more alert early in the morning as compared to later on in the day. Now, I always find it amazing how if you have a job, they tell you exactly what time you should show up early in the morning. But when you are hustling for yourself or you're on holiday or you're taking leave from work, you're not willing to wake up early in the morning to concentrate or work on the thing that's going to advance your career or to improve your skills the same way with the same discipline that you would have when you were working for someone else. You see, businesses understand that human beings are more productive, especially in the early hours. That's why they require you to start your work at an early time. But the mindset of a poor person is to get up and do work whenever they wake up, which might be any time of the day, no specific time, whenever they feel like it, whenever they feel like they're ready. The only way that you are going to be successful is if you have a consistent routine where you wake up early, you do what needs to be done, whether you feel like doing it. And that discipline is what causes and attracts things to begin to work in your favor. Now, let me know in the comment section, what time do you wake up? The next habit of poor people is that they blame everyone else for their problems. For example, my parents didn't have money growing up, so it's their fault. My teachers didn't teach me enough. I didn't go to the right college or the right university. I don't have a job that is paying me the high salary that I want. The politicians are not doing enough. I can go on and on and on and on. And the truth is that there are always different people and different reasons for why you might not be where you want to be. But one big difference between poor people and rich people is that rich people take responsibility over their lives. What I mean is that you cannot choose the family that you were born into, and you cannot choose the life that you are born into. But if today you are poor, it's probably a result of the circumstances that you were born into. But tomorrow, if I still find you poor, it's because it's your choice. Rather than focusing on what they can do now and how they can change their lives, Poor people have this narrative where they only focus on who didn't do what for them. You will notice that rich people also go through challenges. They also go through things that are limiting to them. But the difference between them and poor people is that they will study their own challenges and then they will find a way to turn those challenges into an advantage. In most cases, it results in them starting maybe a business that is focused on helping other people who went through what they went through to solve their problem. And so this life is not about who has got the biggest reason why they are failing or why they failed to get this and that. It's about how exactly you handle the challenges that come to you. And that's what makes the difference between people who start off poor and become rich, or the people who are poor and they will be forever poor. The next poor habit is that poor people don't save. And I personally have struggled with this a lot. Whenever you get money, you want to spend it on something. You already have something in mind that you want to use the money on. But one thing about rich people is that they always keep a reserve in case of emergencies. Saving money doesn't mean that you need to have a lot of money, and then when you've got so much money, that's when it makes it easy for you to take some of it and put it away. I know some of you are probably thinking and say, but Marshall, I don't have a job. How am I going to save? I don't earn a lot of money. How am I going to save? Sometimes saving means whether you're going to be taking that 100 rands or that $10 and then you put it aside somewhere just in case of emergencies. The more you do that as often as you can, when that emergency arises, you'll find out that because you are doing it often and you are not necessarily counting how much you have got something that you can use when that emergency arises. And another way of saving is you don't necessarily always have to save money, but you might buy an asset or something that you know that if things get tough, you'll be able to take this thing and be able to sell it for some value and be able to use that money. And then the next poor habit, which is in line with saving money, is that poor people use credit cards and loans to pay for things that don't matter. I'm talking about you've got your clothes on loan, you buy your car on loan, you buy food on loan, everything that you own is on loan, your TV, your appliances in your house, everything is on loan. Those things are conveniences, yes, because you are able to get the money and pay it off over a long time. But the difference with poor people and rich people is that rich people only take out loans and use credit cards to invest in assets that will give them more money. I want you to think about this. Right now, you've got a good job that pays you, which means that you are able to pay off those loans bit by bit. But if something was to happen to you physically that stops you from going to work and then they need to let you go, it means that you are now a slave to those things that you got on loan. It looks nice. You might be impressing your friends right now, the fact that you are able to wear the latest clothes and drive the best cars, but you don't really own those things because they are on credit. And it means that you can't take a break from working. If you are forced to stop working, like I mentioned earlier on, you will be a slave because you don't own those things, and now you have to find another way of actually earning money to pay off those things. Otherwise, they're going to come and take them away from you. You are a slave because you can't stop working. You have to always keep working to keep up with the lifestyle that you have created for yourself. It looks fancy to people, but the truth is that it's actually a limiting thing to you and to your progress. The solution is quite very simple. If you can't afford to pay for it cash, then don't take it. Rather take that loan, invest in something that's going to help you to advance your mind, to know how to make more money, or to get an asset, to start a business, to start something that's going to generate more money and more income for you, so that you can buy things on cash and actually own them. So that one day when that emergency happens and you no longer can work, no one is going to come and take your assets away from you. The next poor habit, I was wondering whether to include this one because I know it might offend some people, but I think it's necessary for us to talk about this. The next poor habit is that poor people tend to have kids very early. Poor people love having kids very early because it makes them look fulfilled as parents, as mothers, and as fathers. Whereas rich people have kids later in life when they now have got to a stage whereby they know that they are financially able to take care of themselves and a family. I don't know how many people always ask me almost on a daily basis. It's my friends and my family. They love me. I love them too. They've got good hearts, but they're not at the point or living the life that I can say that, okay, I want to live this type of life for the rest of my life. They always ask me, when are you getting married and when are you having kids? For context, I'm 35 and people are like, you still don't have a kid at this age. Part of my thinking is from a mindset of wanting to build wealth. Wealthy people, rich people focus first on creating wealth. And then when they are ready and they are secure enough, financially, mentally, and all those things, they then have the kids. There's this pressure and this thinking that people have that no, you need to have kids when you're young so that you grow up with them. And because how is it going to look when you're now old and then you're starting to have kids? What does it really matter if I am older and I'm starting to have kids? Because the way that I look at it is most people get kids when they're young, but never really enjoy them. Why? Because kids are very expensive. You're talking about school fees, you're talking about food, you're talking about university one day, their clothing. There's so much money that you need to use to take care of children, which means that you are going to be taking out of your own life force. What I mean by that is that you haven't figured out things for yourself financially, but now you've got a burden of a child that you need to take care of as well. And also look at this, most relationships nowadays, whether they are married relationships or just man and woman relationships, a lot of them are struggling and suffering these days. Divorce rates are super high. And part of the reason is because of money. A lot of these couples are having kids at an early time when they have not yet figured out the money element. And then your loving husband or wife becomes a demon. Why? Because you're fighting over money. You are both struggling to take care of each other and your children. Why not wait until later when you're financially stable and then you start having kids? The next poor habit is that poor people hang around other poor people. I'm talking about your friends, your close circles, the people that you spend your most time with are other poor people. One of the ways that you can change your life is by finding people who have advanced themselves and then hang around them. From personal experience, like I used to have a lot of friends, all of us were struggling financially and none of us ever bought cars, right? So when I wanted to buy my first car, all of them gave me reasons of why it's a bad idea and how and why it wouldn't work. But when I found people who had bought cars before, they just showed me that, okay, it's a good decision and you should just do it just like that. Most people will give you this long list of things that you should do first or things that you should think about, whereas rich people make decisions almost instantly. That's a mentality. That's one of the reasons why rich people are rich and poor people remain poor, because rich people actually take action. So what you need to do is that you need to find people who are more advanced than you and hang around them so that what they know gets imparted to you. There's a saying that you are the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around with. If 4 of your friends are broke, guess what? You're going to be the 5th broke person. But if you want a hack or a way that will help you to gain the knowledge and gain the experience to build a life of wealth for yourself, find people who are rich and doing well and hang around them. You will notice that the conversations that they have are actually different. You will notice that for them, anything is possible. When they can't afford something, they don't say, I can't afford it. They ask themselves the question, how can I afford this? It's not always about having something instantly, but sometimes you are able to build towards it. You're able to grow into it. You're able to earn that thing by what you believe. So if you want to create the right belief system in yourself, find people who are rich, not only just physically, but also in their minds, and hang around them. And you notice that it will begin to make a big change in your life. The next habit of poor people is that poor people don't do what they say. In other words, they don't follow up on what they say they're going to do. It's January, the beginning of the year. You write down your New Year's resolutions. This year, I'm going to be doing this and that. I'm going to start a business. A couple of months down the line, 4 months down the line, you're no longer working on that idea. What happened? It was difficult. It was hard. I couldn't find customers. There are so many different excuses. One thing about rich people is that they will work on the same idea over and over again until they get the result and the outcome that they want. Whereas poor people move by their feelings. They don't have the discipline to work on one thing until it gets the desired result. I once heard Alex Hormozi mention and say that the world belongs to the people who can work on one idea for 1 year without seeing the results. In other words, sometimes when you're starting something for yourself, you must be committed to the process, to keep working on one thing consistently, not because it's giving you results immediately, but because you know that if I work on this thing consistently, it's going to give me a great result later. It's not about now, but it's about the potential that you see in the future. You can't choose the circumstances that you were born into, but you can choose the amount of time that you focus on a goal that you say that you want to achieve. You can invest your time and your efforts into that one idea that you know is going to give you profits tomorrow. So don't think like a poor person and just be having a shiny object syndrome, always looking for what's the latest and the newest thing that you should try. Commit to one thing consistently over a long period of time, and you will see the results. The next poor habit is that poor people shift responsibility. They don't take responsibility over their own actions. In other words, they believe that someone else should help them, or that someone else should come and save them. I hear people say things like, my life would be better if I had better connections. My life would be better if the politicians did what they said they were going to do. My life would be better if my father would do this. My life would be better if my partner would do this. Broke people are always looking for someone else to come and save them. But hey, guess what? You can be the hero of your own story. You are supposed to be the hero of your own story. Stop shifting the blame and waiting for someone to come and give you what you want. You need to take responsibility of your own life and make things happen for yourself. Personally, I receive countless messages every single day, people asking me to mentor them. And then when I tell them that I don't have the time to mentor everyone and that I am actually charging money for mentorship, sometimes people get offended, people just give up, people just lose interest. Why? Because they want someone else to take responsibility for their own well-being and they don't want to take responsibility for themselves. And that's what you call a poor mindset. Rich people, when they can't afford something, they will try and figure out, okay, what's the best way that I can learn this thing or I can do this thing. They take responsibility over what they want for themselves and they're not waiting for someone to come and save them. And the next poor habit, which I know definitely is going to get me in trouble with a lot of Christians, but I need to say it, is that poor people rely on God for everything. I'll say it again. Poor people rely on God for everything. I know that you are going to say that God is the source, God is my salvation, God is the Alpha and He's the Omega. But the truth is that sometimes we use God as an escape or as a reason of why we are not getting what we want, because like the previous point, we are waiting for Him to be the hero of our story. And you will notice that the people who are the most religious are usually the poorest. Why? Because it's easier to shift responsibility and put it on someone who is high and mighty in the sky, who is going to give you what you want, than it is to put responsibility on yourself and actually do what needs to be done so that you can get what you want. I'm not anti-religion. I'm not anti-Christianity. I'm not anti-people who believe in maybe God and the universe. But your life is dependent on you. What gets done in your life is dependent on you, and not just some being that's up there in the sky who one day may decide to do a miracle and give you what you really want. While poor people are committing themselves to prayer meetings and going onto mountains and praying about money issues, rich people, or should I say average people, are doing work. They are simply getting down to business, working on one idea for a long period of time, and then they become rich and wealthy. While the Christians, while the religious people are only focusing on just praying and saying, God, do something. Don't get me wrong, I do believe in God, and I am a Christian myself, and I do believe that God does miracles. But the problem with miracles is that God doesn't do miracles every single day. If you actually read your Bible, you will notice that those miracles were stories that were told over the lifetime of different individuals. God wasn't doing those miracles every single day. He was doing them once in a while. So if you are waiting for a miracle in your finances, what if it comes after 20 years? Do you really want to wait that long? Now, if any of these poor habits have actually resonated with you, just let me know in the comment section the one that you feel like, okay, this is something that you need to work on. And also, if you know someone who has got some of these poor habits, just make sure that you share this video with them. It might help them to change their mentality and actually change their life. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you like this video just to show your support for the video, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you'll be notified every single time I drop more content just like this. And you might also be interested in checking out this next video right here, which will show you how you can improve yourself build your business online and make some money. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.